evening and welcome to the Third Man Cricket Show. It's Scotland versus Namibia, and a fact is that just a couple of weeks ago, two teams were just fighting it out in the qualifiers to make it to the Super 12s, and now today, these two teams contest against each other, lock horns against each other at the same venue, Abu Dhabi Cricket Stadium. And alongside me, I have Nikhil, Omkar, as well as Sanchit here. Good evening, guys. How are you feeling about today's game? Two teams trying to make it into the international circuit. How does it feel?
Well, I think so. These two teams should be given a full-time membership by ICC because of the effort they have given in the qualifiers to qualify for the Super 12 League. Because Scotland was their table topper and Namibia performed really well. This is the first T20 World Cup, and so I think so. ICC should grant them full membership. I would request ICC to do that.
Yes, and Nikhil and Sanchit, coming to you, how do you feel about today's game?
Well, definitely really excited. First of all, I mean, associate nations ही तो जान है मतलब cricket की. Yes, we all talk about Australia, India, New Zealand, but somewhere everyone loves an underdog story, and we all cherished when Namibia and Scotland actually managed to get into the main stages of the World Cup. Who gave a chance to Namibia to make it through ahead of the teams like Ireland and Netherlands. So it really makes this tournament so special when you see such teams actually doing something for the game. And this actually is like a tight slap to those faces of ICC when they decided that 2019 World Cup will be played with 10 teams only, avoiding all the associate nations. So this is what cricket is all about. We give chances to each and every country that is playing, and today's game is just a celebration to the fact that what associate nations can be capable of. So I'm really expecting that today's match should be the close, high-scoring thriller that we are all here to find out.
Yes, it's. We are all looking forward to it being a thriller. And Nikhil, coming to you, the technicalities of the game suggest that Scotland have come into this game from a humiliating defeat from the hands of Afghanistan, and Namibia start their World Cup campaign today. So Namibia will obviously be a bit higher on confidence than Scotland, or do you say that Scotland is still, they will be confident still coming from a humiliating defeat from Afghanistan?
Yes, it was quite the disappointing defeat. But yes, you know when you go straight into a world stage, a big nations, big competition, so these things happen. I guess they won't be thinking much about what has happened, and they'll just go for it in the next game. So I guess it is a big game for Scotland because they've already lost their one shot at qualifying. So they'll be really looking forward to playing Namibia because uh, another associate nation, not a big heavyweight like India or Pakistan. So I guess when the matter of confidence comes in, they will be pretty much confident because they have their skill sets well. But just Mujib just ran through them, so you can't do much about that. It will be a great game. Namibia should be really high on confidence because they've seen the result in the previous game of Scotland. So and this Abu Dhabi wicket seems to get better and better as days progress. So it will be interesting to see how these teams pan out. But yes, Namibia will have the slight edge of confidence, you can say, ahead of Scotland.
Exactly. And a very interesting stat coming our way is that the last two games that these two teams played against each other, both the games Namibia has managed to win, and not just to win, but quite comfortably they have won in both the games that these two teams have played against each other. And one of the game, it was right, very, very recent on 9th October 2021. So that is another, can we say that is another headache for Scotland going in to this game, because Afghanistan ne to hara hi diya hai, but Namibia have also been a very tough opponent for Scotland. So Omkar and Sanchit, I would like to know your views on the same, that how tough or easy is it going to be for a team like Scotland?
Well, definitely it is going to be a challenge because you saw what happened in the last game against Afghanistan for Scotland. I mean, there were glimpses that they were doing well, especially with the ball, but with the bat, I think it was a total disaster. So to come back from like 60 all out in such a game, such a big game for their context, because both these teams don't want to go a World Cup without a victory, because this is like a dream come true moment for teams like Scotland and Namibia. They will not know कि अगला chance इसे कब मिलेगा to have a win in a World Cup game. So this is going to be a massive game for both the teams. But for Scotland, it is going to be even bigger because to come back from 60 all out, I mean, you see teams like India, England, Australia, they are well experienced in doing that. So वो mental strength जो रहता है, it is very much visible in those teams. But it would be interesting what Scotland does. The biggest positive for Scotland is that even during the qualifiers, they bowled really well. The likes of Mark Watt, Josh Davy, I think they have been pretty much brilliant. And also Chris Greaves, the man of the moment, that in one of the games in qualifiers. So they will be pretty much settled with the ball, but it would be interesting on how they perceive to go on with the bat. That is where I think the game lies for Scotland.
Exactly. And with the bat as well, I think the batsman, the opener, Munzi, is quite in a good form, but he's not been getting those big scores. Like even in the last game against Afghanistan, he was the one standing till the seventh or the eighth over, if I'm not wrong, and then he got out to Mujib. So I just want to ask you, starting with Omkar, I just want to ask all three of you that how do you judge a batsman's form? Because some batsmen just tend to hit the ball very very well, but they don't get those big scores like the 70s and the 80s. But if they are not getting those big scores, can we say that they are not in form? So how do you judge the form of a batsman?
No, no, no. I don't think so that if you're not getting big scores, you're not in form. Because sometimes what happens, we saw. Let's take an example of Virat Kohli. His score was 40s, 30s, then 50s. He was not getting 100, but that doesn't mean that he's out of form. If his scores of 30s, 40s, 50s, max to max to 60s are making his team win, then I don't think so that his form should be doubted. In similar case in T20, if you're consistently scoring about 30 in a quick fire, like 25 balls 39 or maybe 20 balls 32, then you should not be considered the batsman as out of form, because he has given you the start. It's now the middle orders and the next batsman's opportunity to take the score forward.
Exactly. Nikhil, what are your views on the same?
It is psychologically, you can see about that what the player is thinking while he's batting, because if he is middling the balls, and if there are scenarios where you middle the ball straight to the fielder, so that leads to frustration. It is all about looking at the next ball, and you can't, I don't think we can really judge on one or two innings if the player is out of form or is in form as well, because if one innings cannot decide a batsman is in form, it cannot decide the batsman is out of form. So it is very important as to analyze to have a bunch of data to analyze the form of the batsman, or to see what he is doing. Just an example of Lyndon Simmons, because as we saw bizarre innings, I can say, on in T20, but he was hitting quite well in back in Caribbean. He was just smashing the bowlers, he was smashing the likes of Mitch Stark and everything, and suddenly the pitch changed, and he can't get back to ball. And the worst thing was he just went through with it. He did not even try and play those shots. Maybe he was saving his wicket, or maybe it was a definitive role to asked for him by the West Indies as to anchor the innings, but that wasn't anchoring the innings. That was just struggling all through the innings.
Yes, Sanchit, I would like to ask you the same question, but I would like to add something to it, that if Scotland have been struggling against spin, Namibia have been struggling scoring in the power play overs, because one of their opening batsmen just has a strike rate of 77.5, which is Zane Green, their opener. In the power play, if you have a strike rate of 77.5, that is not something that every team wants to expect. So the first question I would like to ask you, and then if you can add on your answer for this question as well.
Well, yes. Speaking about the forms question, I do believe that form is pretty subjective, especially in a format like T20, where the game is played at a very action paced inning. So you never know what. I really agree with Nikhil and Omkar here that मतलब एक या दो इनिंग से पता नहीं चल सकता कि मतलब ये बैट्समैन फॉर्म में है या नहीं. So it takes मतलब consistency and strike rate, average and strike rate. I think these are the best parameters to judge a player, and I think the minimum criteria should be at least 5 or 6 innings where they have batted for more than 10 innings. So there are lots of parameters attached to find out whether a batsman is in form or not. You can't just say कि अरे ये बंदा form में, because he came on to bat, he played 3 balls and दोनों bound दो तीनों ball में he scored at a rate of 300. So that doesn't mean he's in form. It just means that he had a good period in the game. So maybe not being in form is also not a bad thing in T20s. मतलब as a batsman, especially if you are like a number 5, number 6 batsman, you hardly get like 5-6 ball. Yeah, at max you get 10 to 15 balls. But what matters is that how you deal with those 10 to 15 balls. It's okay even if you don't score 30 or 40 runs. But अगर even if 6 ball में 15 run भी मार दिया, and even if you're not in form, that also counts as a massive contribution. So in T20s, apart from the top orders and the strike bowlers, I don't think form should be a criteria. But if you are able to do the job that is required of you, like agar finisher hai, then he should be able to bat well in the 18th to 20th wala period. If you are a spin bowler, then you should be economical and also taking wickets at crucial intervals. It's okay even if you go 4 overs 24 for 1, 4 overs 23 for 0 also. We saw Ashwin doing that in one of the warm-up, and we praised Ashwin really well for that spell against England in warm-up. So it all matters what the job that you are given. Agar if you are able to do that really well, then it's all good. So form is pretty subjective on that. And to speak about the strike rate, I do believe that in T20s, for the opening batsman at least, and in these conditions, power play plays a massive role. So to have a strike rate
Yes.
of 77 in the power play, it is really worrying. And especially with how Scotland are bowling in this tournament, it would be really interesting on how they approach it. So the best way to tackle this is play fearless cricket, and the first 6 overs are going to be the defining period for the batting team especially. So they really need to be at a very action pace rate, because उसके बाद फिर the ball gets old and it starts to turn, and the UAE pitches. So make most use of the 6 overs and then look what's a good score.
Yes, and considering the UAE pitches, I think IPL में जो हो रहा था and अभी जो हो रहा है, Sharjah and Dubai cricket stadium seem to have exchanged places for whatever is happening. So there are a lot of runs scored in Sharjah now, but Dubai में teams are struggling. But rightly mentioned by Ankit here that 2 matches played on the same ground for the first time. Yes, in this tournament it is happening for the first time. And another statement made by Ankit here is that watch out for Erasmus. So he has been the leading run scorer for Namibia's top order and the whole batting lineup to be precise. And his 50 against Ireland, the half century against Ireland, was really a very important knock to get Namibia into the Super 12. So just before we go in with the toss predictions, just a word on Erasmus.
Uh, is it okay? I'll answer it.
Any
So
anyone
yes,
anyone can take it. No, no.
yeah. So he played a great knock in the last qualifier for Namibia. I think it was really a much needed innings for him, along with David Wiese, of course, because David Wiese is someone who is always talked about for his contribution in the qualifiers, but we forget that innings from Erasmus with the bat. I think that was what propelled Namibia to be playing in this main qualifier. So he's really a player to watch out for in this match. And batting in the top 4, I think that is going to be a crucial aspect, because Scotland, as we know, their main strength lies in the bowling department. So if let's say Namibia indeed goes on to lose the toss, I'm not sure about मतलब एक दिन में 2 matches on the same pitch, same ground. I don't know if the same pitch is going to be used. If it is, then it's really going to be interesting to watch. But शायद chase करने ही better करे because of the due factor. But if that happens, then Erasmus could be the defining player for Namibia. We don't know if David Wiese will be coming on to bat or not, because he bats lower down the order. So Erasmus, yes, you should definitely watch out.
Exactly. And Nikhil, what do you think about the toss? I mean, Abu Dhabi Cricket Stadium always has given us a lot of runs. So if you're one of the skippers, what would you suggest? Win the toss, bat or bowl?
I guess win the toss, bowl first, because the chasing has been, as Ankit is currently mentioning, the chase to win mantra for throughout the World Cup. And it seems to be the template, because in the evening there's a lot of humidity, and then the dew comes in and it settles on the pitch and it just slides on, just comes onto the bat very well. Yes, we saw that throughout, and we saw that in the India Pakistan game as well. The ball was really coming onto the bat. There was nothing in the pitch, and interestingly, the slow ball wasn't stopping as well. And same we've
Yeah.
seen in Abu Dhabi. Yes, we saw kind of low scoring game today, but that I don't think was about anything about pitch. That was just really good bowling and not quite good execution in batting. But if you win the toss, you look to bat bowl first, so that you can get that slight extra advantage as to the ball coming onto the bat and due on the field, so it makes the bowlers also. And they have Chris Greaves and all the spinners, Mark Watt as well. So Namibia will look to bowl first and then exploit against the spinners, which are apparently a strength for Scotland.
Exactly. And coming to Mark Watt, Omkar, I would like to ask you this: that Mark Watt, I was watching him bowl the other day, and I think he's the only bowler who bowls Yorkers perfectly. I mean, I haven't seen any spinner bowl Yorkers so perfectly, but Mark Watt seems to be the one. He makes to he seems to make use of his height and then pitch it exactly in the block hole where Yorkers need to be pitched. So, just a word on Mark Watt and how important will he be for Scotland today?
See, as a spinner, bowling a perfect Yorker and executing them, it's a really good sign for any team. And I would like to say that also, Ankit has pointed out rightly that the non-Asian batsmen have started really well to play the spin, because earlier what used to happen, the non-Asian batsmen used to struggle a lot against the spinners. And as a spinner, mostly you see that spinners will bowl a flicker one or a wrong one, or maybe they'll just give the batsman a flight, and so that he might step out and the batsman will get out by the keeper by stumping. So, but Mike Watt bowling a Yorkers is a delight to watch, because what happens, you don't often see a spinner bowling Yorkers consecutively. Like एक हाथ
Yeah.
दूसरा गिर जाता है तो गिर जाता है. It's I'm talking about the other spinners. But as a spinner, he will be very vital. And if it's a used pitch, then definitely he will come into play, because even Moeen Ali did well tonight for England, and picking 2 wickets in 2 balls, and from there on, we know that what happened with Bangladesh.
Yes, and here we have the update. Mohit seems to tell us that Namibia have won the toss and are bowling first. So, Nikhil, you were right when you said that win the toss, bowl first. Sanchit, I would just like to ask you that for Scotland, does it get any tougher? Because Dew seems to come into the picture in the second innings, so their spinners have to be gripping the ball, especially the wrist spinners like Greaves, who come into the attack in the second inning. I think they'll have a tough time gripping the ball. So, will Scotland be any disappointed with whatever happened in the toss?
I think first of all, it's a massive toss for Namibia to win, because we saw how they go on chasing in the qualifier itself. I mean, the last two matches in the qualifier that they won, it was on the back of a brilliant run chase in both the innings. So for Namibia, I think it's a massive toss to win. And for Scotland, yes, it is going to be very difficult, but interesting to see how their bowlers actually cope up in the while bowling. So because let's not forget, Scotland was the team that defended against Bangladesh in the qualifiers. So they defended, I think, 140 or 150 runs against a team like Bangladesh. So they will be up for it. It is not gonna be easy, but I think they would fancy their chances if they put on a good score. As Mohit in the comments rightly said that England batted brilliantly on the same pitch. So we
Yes.
should expect a good batting wicket, at least better than what we are used to seeing in the IPL and even in Sharjah for that matter. But I think Sharjah, even that has also improved. So I'm expecting it to be a very high scoring game. And by high scoring, I mean at least around 160 could be the par score needed on this kind of wicket. So I'm really looking
Yes.
forward to see how Scotland actually bats from here, because the way that they bat is going to be define whether they go on to win the match or not. I don't see 140 or
Yes.
150 being a safe score, especially with how Namibia has batting in down the order.
Yes, and especially with the due factor coming into play in the second innings, 150 is something that is a bit below par. I do agree to Sanchit, but this match will start in 24 minutes to be precise, guys. But there was a match played which started at 3:30, and we already have the result with England winning by 8 wickets and defeating Bangladesh. So we would just like to talk a few minutes about that game as well. That Bangladesh. First of all, guys, Bangladesh opting to bat first, winning the toss, opting to bat, and then getting out at 124. I think not a lot of motivation there, Nikhil.
I guess batting first can't be that bad, because the heat factor should be taken into consideration. We saw many teams opting to bat first on the in the 3:30 game, because now earlier there used to be 4 to 8, that used to be time of the double headers and the of the afternoon games, but
Yes.
now it's 3:30. So the heat is even more than it was at the 4:30 start. So they really look to they did not really get their innings going. And to give credit, Moin Ali is being used excellently by Owen Morgan,
Yes.
which wasn't happening at all. And suddenly he has a good IPL season, and he's getting the ball in the power play. He's batting higher up the order. Yes, he batted at 4 as well in one of the game against West Indies. Didn't quite work out, but it's good to see that they are giving him the opportunity. And obviously they have a lot of players whom can be used, uh, whom are utility players such as Moin Ali. They have Liam Livingston. Liam Livingston took a brilliant wicket of the captain Mahmudullah, very and that's a really good strategy. You have a good bowler in there who can bowl leg spin to a right hander, and he can bowl off spin to a left hander,
Left-handers.
and he hasn't looked out of place, because he has looked good as a bowler it gets, and he hits the length very well. I'm afraid that Liton Das' form is a bit of a concern, and you cannot always expect Shakib and Mushfiqur to just get you through. I was having my lecture, so I wasn't seeing the match at the start, and then I started, and straight away, as usual, yes, Shakib and Mushfiqur Rahim were on the crease, trying to sort things out and trying to settle them off. So this cannot be happening, and openers are failing too often. So it is kind of worry for Bangladesh, which they really need to assess it and fix it as quickly as possible.
Exactly, and it is a worry for Bangladesh because their batting order seems to not be clicking from the past two games. Sanchit and Omkar, I would really like to ask you about this question that the highest score that Bangladesh got today was 29, and it was scored by Mushfiqur Rahim, that too of 30 balls. So, there are batsmen who are getting those starts, but they are not able to convert it into a significant total that can win you matches and innings. So, how can Bangladesh go ahead and correct this? Because even in their bowling, England went on to chase the target in quite comfortably in 15 or 16 overs, to be approximate, if I'm not wrong. But Jason Roy got really played really well, got 61 runs, won the Man of the Match award, and England are also getting bowling options that Livingston bowling 3 overs, taking 2 wickets, giving away just 15 runs is something that is really a big positive, gives the cushion of the sixth bowler to Owen Morgan. So, where are Bangladesh going wrong is my question, and how can they correct it from here?
Bolo.
Okay, yeah. So, okay, yeah, I feel like Bangladesh is missing Rubel Hussain in their bowling lineup. Like Saifuddin got injured, I thought they might bring in Rubel Hussain for their bowling, but they didn't. They went with Shoriful Islam as another spinner. And for the openers, I feel like they did a blunder by not selecting Tamim Iqbal, because when you don't select your most experienced opener, it might have added pressure on. Litan Das, because what used to happen, Litan Das and Tamim Iqbal used to open, and Tamim Iqbal used to handle it, and Litan Das used to sometimes play the anchor role. And by Tamim Iqbal not being there in the team, Litan Das has got the full opportunity to accelerate with the score, because Naeem has been a newcomer. He also hits the ball really well, but the experience, the value which experienced players add, especially like Tamim Iqbal, so that might put a pressure on Liton Das. And also what happens, something or the other, they are very much relied on Shakib Al Hasan, because as a captain, Mohammedullah hasn't played much. Even Mushfiqur Rahim played runner ball almost. So everything is being surrounded around Shakib Al Hasan. He has to bowl the 4 overs, and he has to play the innings like Bangladesh was totally dependent on Shakib Al Hasan. Similarly, in the 2019 World Cup, he almost scored 600 runs, and I guess the second leading run scorer was, I guess, below 350 runs. So that is what happens when you depend on one player around the corner.
Sorry, I was on mute. Omkar rightly mentioning what's going wrong for Bangladesh was what I wanted to say. But Sanchit, I would like to ask you now the second part of the question, so as to how can they correct it? How can they go ahead and make sure that the batsmen who are getting in go ahead and anchor the inning and make a significant total. So where is that trick? How can they correct it?
I think what Omkar said, I mean, their batting revolves around one or two players, and it is very sad. Matlab, if you look at the Bangladesh team, especially in the subcontinents where they favor the batting side actually favors quite a lot, especially the Asian teams. I think it was very disappointing on how Bangladesh batted today. So if you look at the top three, Litundas, Naeem, and Shakib, both all the three of them were in single figures, and
Yeah.
no one could have go on to hit double figures. So that is where I think the problem lies with Bangladesh. They are too over dependent on their middle order. Mushfiqur Rahim, Mahmudullah, and Afif Hussain. I think the middle order is their strength, as we even discussed in the qualifiers. So, kitne matches the middle order will bail you out. I mean, yes, Mushfiqur played really well for his 29, but अकेला कितना लेके जाएगा? Like, look at the first match that they played against Sri Lanka. I think because of their middle order, they batted really well to go on till 170 or 180. I'm not sure what they got exactly, but because
Yes.
of their middle order's contribution, they got there. So I think they really need to find that balance between the top order and the middle order. If the top order starts clicking well, then I think Bangladesh will be a better side. But my worry for Bangladesh lies with the bowling, because the last two series that they played only in one ground, that is Mirpur, and that is where I think the wickets were on the slowish side, and it favored the Bangladeshi spinners. So वो एक complacency आता है ना कि मतलब ये pitches पे खेल के वो आदत बन जाती है कि yes, the wicket is going to be slower, so I know that what pace I'm going to be bowling. But suddenly वो pitch का nature भी change हो गया when the World Cup came, and उसके बाद the Bangladesh bowlers were clueless whether at what pace to bowl. So you saw what happened in the last two games as well. Even against Sri Lanka, the spinners didn't fare really well. In the qualifiers, they did well, but when a big team came up against them and the wickets were slightly on a quicker side, the spinners were clueless. So I think they really need to adapt from playing on sluggish wickets like Mirpur and to play on such kind of wickets. It is still a good wicket to bowl on, but not as quite as what it is seen in Mirpur. So they really need to find the balance well. Two losses out of two games, and things are looking really bleak for their qualification, but they really need to step up now in the next game.
Exactly, and that's all about the first game that we've got. England easily defeating Bangladesh convincingly by 8 wickets. So England have won 2-2, defeating West Indies and Bangladesh now. So coming back to the 7:30 game, guys, that a bowler in Scotland named Sufyan Sharif plays his 50th T20 game for Scotland today, and he has taken 57 wickets, out of which 30 have come in the United Arab Emirates. So this is really a positive that more than 50% of the wickets coming in the venue where he is playing a game today. So just a word on Sufyan Sharif, because we have all seen him bowl a bit in the qualifiers as well as in the last game that Scotland played. So how big a achievement is this take, playing his 50th game for a country like Scotland, an associate nation, and out of the 57 wickets, 30 of them being in UAE. How big a positive is this for Scotland going into this game?
Like you mentioned, he has most majority taken the wickets in the UAE. So this is like you might say that this is how experience in these conditions matter. Like he has totally grabbed the conditions, like how he has to adapt the conditions, how he has to bowl. He has totally grabbed it, and he has been working out on that. And he has also he has been bowling really well for Scotland. And I feel like if your majority of the wickets are in a particular country, then your play is best suited for your team when your team is playing in that particular country. So that is what he has done for Scotland. And even if we all know that Scotland and Namibia won't qualify, but there are many positives that they can take after the campaign gets over. That they qualified convincingly, they topped the qualifying group stage, and they played some good cricket. So that is one thing revolves around that. They should always be positive, because what happens, these small teams don't get much opportunities to play, and whatever opportunities they have got, they have completely replayed really well. So these are some of the positives that these small countries should take.
Yes, and Sanchit, coming to you, a big positive for Scotland because they'll be bowling second along with the due factor. But a bowler in their team playing his 50th game, so the motivation will be there, and more than the total of his wickets have come in UAE. So a bit of a positive.
Definitely, not a bit, but it is a huge positive. I mean, you any कौन सा भी bowler हो, any bowler you see playing such a high level of cricket, especially for associate teams, I think it really warms our heart. So 50, I think it is a big achievement. So I really want to see a good bowling display once again from Scotland. And I think Safian Sharif, I remember, I instinctively remember, I remember that game against England where they managed to win against an English side in one of the ODIs, and that was Scotland's first ever victory against England. And he was bowling that last over, and he got that beautiful Yorker. So that is how I actually remember Shafian Sharif. So it is a huge achievement for him as well. So I think it will be on a good emotional basis. Maybe मतलब वो रहेगा, but it is always important on match days. You have to manage that emotions with logical aspect. But yes, it is going to be a very interesting game for Scotland, and also Namibia are quite strong, quite a strong chasing side. So it would be very interesting to see what kind of a game we have.
All right, guys, that's all for the pre-match show that we have got, and it's Scotland versus Namibia. As we all know, two countries trying to make it onto the world stage, qualified into the Super 12s. We are all very proud as cricket lovers to see these two nations compete in the Super 12s. Sanchit, Omkar, as well as Nikhil, he's not on the stream now, but thank you very much for joining me. It was a pleasure having you, and we'll see you again after the match in the post-match show. So thank you very much, Sanchit and Omkar. Thanks to all the viewers as well. We'll be right back after the match, guys.